welcome once again to Voices from the Macabre. I am your host, Dr. Johnny Fear. These stories have been written by staff or submitted by our listening audience. Please continue to listen at your own risk. Are you still there? Then let us begin. Welcome to tonight's episode, The Apartment.
How did I end up on the floor when I slept on the couch in my new apartment? How did getting a new place go from fun and exciting to a scary experience? 3 weeks ago, I decided to move into a new apartment because I felt that the one I was in was too small for me, and the landlord kept increasing the rent without notice. I was excited when I started hunting for a new home. Over the years, my meager belongings had become so much more. I had gotten newer appliances, a bigger and more comfortable couch. So all these things made my apartment seem too small. I spoke to a couple of friends that I was looking for an apartment, and I also checked several real estate sites online. Soon, I found a 2-bedroom apartment in the area that I wanted to live in. I called the real estate agent and he asked me to come over the next day to inspect the apartment. The following morning, I drove down to the place and met the man. He seemed very friendly, a little too friendly, and I noticed he was jittery. He kept looking over his shoulders as he tried to open the door. The key slipped out of his hand a couple of times, but I thought he couldn't open the door because he was getting on in age and his hands were trembling. He finally opened the door and we walked in. "I'll get them fixed before you move in," the agent said, as if he could read my thought. Someone had deliberately destroyed the windows and the apartment when he suddenly blurted out that I could have the apartment for half the price listed on their website. Wow, I was thrilled. He showed me the rest of the place. The rooms were spacious and everything else seemed okay. I fell in love with the place immediately, especially because I was getting it at a ridiculously small amount. "When can I move in?" I asked. "I'll give you the keys tomorrow evening because I'll be sending someone over in the morning to change the doors and fix the windows." "Awesome, thank you." I signed a check, which I handed to him, and I also signed the lease. The agent kept to his word and sent some workers to put in new doors and windows. On the third day, a moving van moved my things into the apartment while I was at work. When I left work in the evening, I drove to my new apartment, feeling on top of the world. But to my surprise, I found all my stuff outside with the door closed. I was surprised because the movers sent a video to me after they had moved everything in. I was wondering if the movers had taken the things to a wrong place. But when I watched the video again, I realized that they didn't make a mistake. I called the guys and they arrived within an hour. They were just as perplexed as I was. I opened the door and they moved everything in again. I noticed that my new neighbors were peeping at me from their windows. One woman hurriedly shut her window when I looked in her direction. I decided to sleep at a friend's place that night because the bed was the last thing they moved in, and I was too tired to unpack and find the sheets and pillows. The following evening, I went back to my new place, and once again, I found my stuff outside, neatly arranged in front of the apartment. I was angry and a little terrified because I didn't know what was going on. I started to wonder if the movers were playing a trick on me. When I called the real estate agent, he mumbled out something I couldn't hear clearly, and then he offered to return half of the amount I paid. Now, I was getting the apartment for almost nothing. I called a few friends and we moved the things in ourselves. After my friends left, I shut the door and slept on the couch. Exactly at midnight, I heard the sound of laughter, and then it seemed like someone came into the room because I heard the sound of footsteps. My heart leaped into my throat as a masculine scent filled the air. The footsteps seemed to be moving towards the kitchen. A few minutes later, I mustered up the courage to go into the kitchen, and I found a wine glass on the counter. It was filled to the brim. I tried to remember if one of my friends had left it there, but none of them had gone into the kitchen. Suddenly, I felt goosebumps on my skin as I felt someone, or something, brush against my shoulder. With my heart pounding heavily in my ears, I made my way into the living room, and I found my TV on the floor. My friends helped me to mount the TV on the wall before they left. It looked like someone had taken it off the wall and placed it on the floor. I went into the bedroom and discovered that the place was trashed. My books and clothes were thrown all over the bedroom. The windows were broken as well. At that point, I was certain I wasn't alone because I heard a sound from the other room. I went to check the other room, and I found the door on the floor, broken into pieces, with splinters all over the place. I started dialing the agent's number, but my phone suddenly flew out of my hand and smashed into pieces. I dragged myself back into the living room and slumped on the couch in exhaustion. There were different sounds all over the place. I don't know why I didn't leave, but I closed my eyes until I fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up on the floor with shivers and a terrible ache in my back. I fell asleep on the couch, but I woke up on the floor because the couch and everything else had vanished. I ran out of the apartment in fear. To my relief and utter shock, I found my stuff on the lawn, scattered all over the place. I couldn't call for help because my phone was damaged. Two of my neighbors approached me to ask what the problem was. When I explained everything to them, they looked towards the apartment with a frightened look on their faces. The owner of that apartment died mysteriously some years ago, one neighbor said. Ever since then, anyone who moves into the apartment also dies mysteriously. The last tenant was a young girl who hung herself in the bedroom. Lady, you are lucky you are still alive, my other neighbor said.
You have been listening to Voices from the Macabre. Please subscribe and like our channel, or we will haunt your dreams. Are you still there? Then go visit voicesfromthemacabre.com and tell us your darkest fears. Until next time, stay awake.